At some point in our lives, we have fantasized about living as another animal. Whether we want to be as fast as a cheetah or have the smelling abilities of a bloodhound, having some animal abilities would definitely make our lives easier. Here are 10 people who got real animal superpowers. As we get ready to bring out the claws and groom our faces, take a moment to subscribe to our channel. If you enjoy subjects like people with animal superpowers, you'll love the other videos we have to offer. Just click on that red subscribe button as well as the gray bell, and you're on your way. Daniel Kish. What would you do if you lost your eyesight? How would you get around? Of course, we are familiar with Braille and using a red-tipped cane that helps people with blindness get around. But one man has changed the way that a blind person sees the world. Daniel Kish has become known as the guy who can see the world through sonar. When he was just 7 months old, his right eye was removed. When he was 13 months old, his left eye was removed, and he has been completely blind ever since. However, he refused to live in a world where he couldn't see. Using his tongue to click, he reads the sounds around him, much like how bats use sonar to read their surroundings. As he clicks, he listens carefully as the sound bounces back to him. He can hear how close something is to him and can gauge his surroundings from there. Kish has become a kind of celebrity in his own right, doing TED Talks and training people on using sonar. Plus, he's the president of World Access for the Blind, and he has taught over 500 children to see the world the same way he does. Dennis Avner. Dennis Avner was a Navy veteran who became a programmer, but during a quest to get in touch with his spiritual side, he was called to the wild and decided to modify his body to match his totem animal, a tiger, more specifically, a female tiger. With surgery, he gave himself a female cleft lip, multiple piercings on his cheek for synthetic whiskers, a nose job to make his schnoz upturned, eyebrow implants, and ear elongation. Not to mention, he also modified his teeth so they looked more cat-like, along with tattoos to give himself stripes. Avner preferred to be called by the Native American name Stalking Cat, and he would creep along the lines of gender. Spiritually, he felt he was a female cat, while physically he was a human male. His story fascinated the world, and people wanted to learn more about him. Stalking Cat also held world records for having the most permanent body modifications to look like an animal. Along with the surgeries, he also wore a robotic tail as well as contact lenses with a slit iris, so he had legitimate-looking cat eyes. In 2007, Stalking Cat left his body and moved on to live in the spiritual world, and we're sure he took on the physical embodiment he worked so hard to achieve while he was alive. Nadia Vesey. Have you ever wanted to be a mermaid? Did you ever watch Disney's The Little Mermaid and dream of having a fishtail and swimming under the sea while having mermaid adventures and sporting a sweet seashell bra? Nadia Vesey is living that dream right now. After having her legs amputated when she was a child, Vesey's dreams of swimming in the water were nearly extinct. Her legs were amputated because doctors realized that her legs wouldn't grow and develop as they should. Today, she is in her 50s, and she wears prosthetic legs to get around. After being asked by a child as to why she didn't have any legs, she told them that she was a mermaid. This sparked an idea, and she wrote to the Weta Workshop, who made the visuals in movies like The Chronicles of Narnia and The Lord of the Rings. She asked them to make her a mermaid tail so that she could swim. Surprisingly, they agreed, and they made her a tail out of wetsuit fabric and plastic molds. While a mermaid is a mythical creature, she definitely possesses the animal superpowers of a fish. Today, Vesey is the mermaid princess of the water, and she wows people on a regular basis. Peyton Rollins. Peyton Rollins' story is similar to what you might see in a superhero movie where the protagonist conducts an experiment in a lab. There's an accident and he ends up with superpowers. In Rollins' case, he implanted a magnet into his left ring finger. After he did that, he found that he could detect magnetic fields and anything that could produce electricity. This is also a skill that many animals possess when it comes to detecting the unseen fields that are around us, like EMF, electricity, and more. He could feel a slight buzz when around electronics and be able to sense when walking into an area that was buzzing with electrical activity. Of course, his body eventually had a reaction to his implant and he had to remove it. He is now working on an experiment that would give him the ability to see infrared, the same skill that snakes have, and he plans on achieving this ability naturally through his diet. He wants to augment his own eyes, and he will try to avoid retinol, which is vitamin A. Rollins believes that this will force his eyes to use a molecule called porphyropsin, which will create the infrared effect in his vision. Wow, good luck, Peyton. Julie Redfern. When it comes to wanting superpowers, you always need to be careful what you wish for. There are a multitude of animals that have excellent hearing: cats, elephants, moths, owls, dogs, horses, and dolphins. Often they can hear things that we humans can't even detect due to our Homo sapien limitations. But after a bike accident, Julie Redfern found out that she could hear her own eyeballs squeak as they moved. and she could hear her own chewing louder than any surrounding noise in her environment. After being examined by doctors, it was discovered that she had a condition called superior canal dehiscence syndrome, SCDS. This meant that there were holes in a bone in her ear which caused amplified sound. In Julie's case, fluid was leaking from the superior canal in her ear and causing a honeycomb-like effect in the bone inside her ear. Unfortunately, this was an animal superpower that Julie couldn't live with for the rest of her life, so she had surgery done to fill in the holes in her ear. So now she's living life as a normal human with regular hearing. It just goes to show that sometimes there are some animal superpowers that cause more harm than good. You've made it halfway into the video. Give yourself a reward with our quiz. Here is our question. As the world waited for April the giraffe to give birth to her baby, one pregnant American woman mimicked the mammal while waiting for her own birth. What was her name? Stay tuned to the end of the video to find out. Fiona Gameson. Remember at the beginning of this video when we talked about Daniel Kish, who uses sonar and echolocation to see his surroundings? He's not the only one who has mastered bat-like abilities to see the world in a different way. Meet Fiona Gameson. Like Kish, she is also blind after having both of her eyes removed. In her case, it was due to childhood cancer. Using what she calls her bat sense, Gameson uses high-pitched clicking sounds to gauge her surroundings. She pulls her tongue from the roof of her mouth to make the noise, and then she listens for the echo that comes back. When asked where she learned about how to use echolocation, she replied that she always knew how to do it. When asked about whether her other senses were heightened, she said that her senses were average, but because she was blind, they have a little more accuracy, but that's it. She also senses the air around her to try to find the doorway, and between memory and echolocation, she can navigate herself around the house quite efficiently. To assume that she hears walls would be incorrect. Instead, she feels them out by using the clicking sound as well as her hands. Kenichi Ito. Have you ever dreamed of being as fast as an animal? Ever dreamed of moving with speeds like a cheetah and feeling the wind in your hair? Most humans can't outrun the common house cat, but there are special people like Usain Bolt who have ridiculous running records. There was even a rumor that he was faster than a cheetah, but that turned out to be untrue. However, there is a special person who runs like an animal and manages to be one of the fastest people to run like that. If you think that's easy, pause this video and go across the room on all fours. Tough, isn't it? Let's talk about the man known as Tokyo's Monkey Man, and he has the fastest 100-meter dash according to the Guinness World Records. He does much more than just run. He runs on all fours just like a monkey. Hey, you knew that nickname had to come from somewhere. With a record of 15.71 seconds, Ito runs on all fours with a consistent rhythm, and it makes him the fastest mover in the record books. He has broken the record a few times and then was temporarily dethroned by Katsumi Tamakoshi. Then Ito got the record back the following year. Joy Milne. Service dogs do some pretty amazing things. They can detect things like when their owner is about to have a seizure or calm a person down when they're having a meltdown. It seems that animals just know when things are going on. A dog can smell something and be able to track it down for quite a distance. But what if a human could smell like a dog and be able to detect a medical condition? That's exactly what Joy Milne does. Her husband, Les, was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease at the age of 45, and she could smell the disease on him. Parkinson's apparently has a consistent smell because she can smell it on other people. 6 years before Les was diagnosed, Joy noticed that his smell had changed. After the diagnosis was official, Joy joined a support group for people with Parkinson's as well as their families. As Joy met others who were fighting the same battle, she noticed that the smell was consistent. Her story was heard of by scientists, and she was tested by the University of Edinburgh, and they were able to determine that she was accurate. Scientists realized that the changes in a person's skin that occurs when Parkinson's disease could help with early detection, and we have Joy to thank for that. Eric Sprague. If you had the opportunity, would you completely transform your body into something different? Would you change the color of your skin, the shape of your tongue, or even the look of your face? Most people usually choose one thing from that list, but not Eric Sprague. He is completely committed to his decisions, even if this means completely transforming his body and becoming the Lizard Man. Sprague has had his tongue forked, had subdermal implants placed in his eyebrows, and dedicated over 700 hours to tattooing his entire body with green scales. He also had his teeth filed so they are nice and sharp. Sprague is a circus and freak show performer, and he has reached a certain level of fame with his unique look. His lips are even tattooed green. For years, Sprague had been working the freak show circuit and even does sword swallowing. Like his animal counterpart, he can be a little creepy. But at the end of the day, he is truly a fascinating figure who doesn't mind the extreme body modification that he has done. Sprague makes public appearances on a regular basis and has even dived into the music and book publishing world as a way to express himself and share his story. Tom Leopard. If you can't get the animal abilities, you can at least look like them with tattoos. Tom Leopard was known as the Leopard Man of Skye, and he also broke the Guinness World Record for being the most tattooed senior citizen. In his younger days, he was a Special Forces soldier. In his older days, he had 99.9% of his body tattooed with leopard spots, and he lived in a self-made shelter in Kyleakin in Skye, Scotland. The shelter, called a bothy, was made of stones and had plastic sheets for the rooftop. Before he lived in the bothy, he was actually living in a one-bedroom home, but he realized he was getting too old for that kind of living. So the bothy it was. In order to do his weekly shopping, he had to canoe 3 miles to reach any sort of civilization. Leopard lived this way for 20 years, becoming a legend in his own right. His appearances were so sporadic and popular that he sort of channeled his inner leopard and blended in the camouflage of nature and kept himself hidden from traditional society. On June 12th, 2016, at the age of 80, the Leopard Man left this world to live freely on the other side. Who was the pregnant woman who mimicked April the giraffe while waiting for her own baby to be born? Her name is Erin Dietrich. She's from South Carolina, and she sported a giraffe mask and waited around on Facebook Live for her own delivery. Her video has since gotten over 32 million views. Thanks for joining us. Tell us what animal superpower you want in the comments, and take a moment to check out some of our other awesome videos.
Thanks for watching our video, and don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. We'll see you in the next round.